Right before my wedding, my sister sneered over the phone, "Don't wait for Dad. He chose to stand with me." I whispered, "How could you do this?" She said, "You should have known your place." I thought I'd walk in alone, until the door swung open. My sister froze, eyes wide. Dad couldn't even look up. Before we dive into how a single phone call nearly destroyed my wedding day, take a quick moment to drop a comment below with the city or country you're watching from. I love seeing how far these stories travel. My sister Vanessa had spent her entire life trying to overshadow me, but stealing our father on the most important day of my life was a new low. She thought she had successfully humiliated me in front of hundreds of guests. What she didn't know was that her cruel stunt accidentally unlocked a massive family secret. My name is Chloe Vance. I'm 26 years old, living here in Seattle, and for as long as I can remember, my life has been lived in the long, exhausting shadow of my older sister, Vanessa. Vanessa was the undisputed golden child of our family. She was louder, more demanding, and possessed a toxic need to always be the absolute center of attention, while I was always the quiet achiever who preferred to stay out of the drama. When I got engaged to Ethan, I thought, just for once, I would have my own special moment. My dad had promised me for over a year that walking me down the aisle would be the single proudest moment of his life. He told me nothing on earth could make him miss it. But as I sat in the bridal suite, a strange feeling of unease began to settle over me. I looked over at an old, framed family photograph sitting on the mahogany dresser. In the picture, we were all smiling, but if you looked closely, you could see how my father unconsciously leaned his body entirely toward Vanessa, almost completely freezing me out of the frame. It was a subtle, aching hint of a deep-seated family imbalance that I had spent my entire life trying to ignore, desperately hoping that today, of all days, would finally be different. The heavy silence of the bridal suite was suddenly shattered by the sharp, demanding ring of my phone. I picked it up, expecting a frantic update from the caterer or a sweet text from Ethan. Instead, my sister's name flashed across the screen. The moment I pressed answer, Vanessa's voice cut through the line, cold and dripping with absolute malice, delivering the devastating words, "Don't wait for Dad. He chose to stand with me." My blood turned to ice. She went on to explain that she had scheduled an emergency, high-profile press launch for her fashion boutique on the exact same afternoon. It wasn't an accident. It was a calculated ambush. She had forced our father into a brutal corner, demanding he choose between supporting her business survival or walking me down the aisle. Shocked and trembling, I whispered, "How could you do this?" Her reply was a venomous chuckle before she hung up. "You should have known your place, Chloe." I collapsed into the chair, staring blankly at my pristine wedding dress as hot tears streamed down my face. The man who had promised to protect me had completely abandoned me for Vanessa's latest spotlight grab. My closest friend, Sarah, who also happened to be a sharp family lawyer, rushed into the room. Seeing me completely devastated, she grabbed my hands and practically begged me to postpone the ceremony or let her legally handle the situation. But as the initial shock faded, something hardened inside me. I wiped my tears, looked at Sarah, and shook my head. I was completely heartbroken, but I refused to give Vanessa the satisfaction of canceling my wedding. I was going to finish this day, even if I had to face that long aisle entirely alone. Sitting in that quiet room, desperately trying to calm my frantic breathing, a strange memory suddenly flashed through my mind. It took me back to the previous afternoon when I had been searching through my dad's old mahogany desk in his home study to find a spare set of car keys for the venue coordinator. While rummaging through the bottom drawer, hidden beneath a thick stack of old tax documents, my fingers had brushed against a small locked wooden box. Curiosity had gotten the better of me, and beside it, I had found a mysterious, small brass key tucked away in an old envelope, Acting on pure instinct, I had slipped that heavy little key into my bridle clutch, completely forgetting about it until this exact, desperate moment. With trembling hands, I reached into my purse and pulled it out. My dad had left a secondary legal document folder in my care months ago, telling me to keep it safe and open it just in case things ever went wrong. At the time, I thought he was just being overly cautious about his health. But now, as I slid the brass key into the lock of that folder, it turned with a heavy, satisfying click. I pulled out a thick sheaf of papers hidden inside. It wasn't medical records at all. My eyes blurred as I began to scan a fresh, certified bank statement and a handwritten letter from my father. The words written across those pages completely shattered everything I thought I knew about my family. The legal documents spread across my lap revealed a dark, twisted truth. Vanessa's supposedly booming fashion boutique, the one she flaunted all over social media, was actually a hollow shell drowning in massive debt. But the real horror was on the next page. It was a series of forensic audit reports showing that Vanessa had been systematically forging our father's signature to secure high-interest business loans to keep her failing lifestyle afloat. My father hadn't abandoned my wedding out of love for Vanessa, or because she was the favorite child. He was at her press gala because Vanessa was actively blackmailing him. She had threatened to trigger a massive public family bankruptcy scandal right before my wedding if he didn't show up to validate her business to investors. He was trying to protect the family name, completely trapped under her financial thumb. Reading his frantic handwritten letter, my heartbreak instantly morphed into an icy, unyielding anger. Vanessa wasn't just a selfish sister. She was a predator who was destroying our father from the inside out. My grief completely evaporated, replaced by absolute, blinding clarity. Vanessa thought she had used her leverage to isolate me and stage the ultimate humiliation on my wedding day. What she didn't realize was that by pushing me to the brink, she had forced me to open that folder. I wasn't the powerless, weeping little sister she thought she was leaving behind. I held the exact financial records that could completely dismantle her false empire, and I knew exactly how to use them. The heavy oak doors of the church were firmly shut, sealing the grand sanctuary from the crisp afternoon air. Inside, the opening chords of the traditional wedding march began to echo beautifully through the rafters, signaling that the ceremony was officially underway. But instead of the usual joyful anticipation, a tense, awkward energy rippled through the pews. The guests were shifting uncomfortably, whispering behind their hands as they realized the devastating truth. The front aisle was completely empty, and the bride had no father standing by her side to walk her down. Slipped into the very back row of the church, my sister Vanessa stood tall, her eyes fixed on the closed doors. Having rushed over straight from her press gala just to witness the final blow, she held her phone out, ready to record my ultimate public humiliation. A triumphant, mocking smirk plastered her face. She truly believed she had won. Then the heavy wooden doors suddenly swung wide open. The entire congregation gasped in unison, and Vanessa's smug smile instantly vanished, her face turning a ghastly shade of pale. Standing proudly beside me wasn't my absent father, and I wasn't walking alone. My arm was firmly linked with Arthur Montgomery, the reclusive, legendary billionaire business tycoon, who also happened to be my father's former long-term partner and the absolute primary investor behind Vanessa's boutique. I had called him just 20 minutes prior, presenting the undeniable proof of Vanessa's forgery. Now, Arthur stood tall in a flawless charcoal suit, his piercing gaze locked directly onto my trembling sister as we stepped forward together. The long walk down the aisle felt like a slow-motion victory lap. With every graceful step I took alongside Arthur Montgomery, the suffocating weight of my sister's lifelong bullying completely lifted from my shoulders. The whispers among the wedding guests quickly shifted from pity to utter awe. their eyes darting between my radiant smile and the powerful tycoon guiding me toward the altar. But my focus remained entirely locked on the back pew. As we drew closer, I could see Vanessa physically trembling, her hands shaking so violently that she almost dropped her phone. The mocking facade she had worn her entire life was entirely gone, replaced by a look of sheer, unadulterated panic. She knew that the moment Arthur stepped into this church, her carefully constructed house of cards was finished. When we finally reached her row, Arthur intentionally slowed his pace. He paused for a fraction of a second, leaning slightly toward my sister. He didn't raise his voice, but the cold, professional edge in his tone cut deeper than any scream could have. He looked her dead in the eye and whispered a chilling warning. "We need to talk about your fraudulent accounting practices tomorrow morning at 9 sharp, Vanessa. Bring your lawyer." Vanessa choked back a sob, the blood completely draining from her lips as we walked past. She realized that by trying to publicly destroy my wedding, she had inadvertently handed her biggest investor the exact evidence he needed to legally crush her. The wedding ceremony concluded beautifully, filled with genuine love and a profound sense of relief. In the weeks that followed, the truth completely set my family free. Armed with the undeniable proof of fraud, Arthur Montgomery forced a complete restructuring of the boutique's liabilities, legally transferring every single cent of the toxic debt away from my father and entirely onto Vanessa's shoulders. 3 months later, my sister was forced to liquidate her luxury assets and declare humiliating personal bankruptcy just to avoid facing a lengthy prison sentence. My father, finally liberated from her cruel financial blackmail, weeping, begged for my forgiveness. I forgave him, but kept a healthy distance. Today, Ethan and I are building a peaceful, beautiful new life together, entirely free from the toxic shadows of my past. If you were in my shoes, would you have exposed your sister's massive fraud right there on your wedding day? Or would you have kept the peace for the sake of the family? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. I'm leaving 2 other unbelievable family betrayal stories right here on the screen. Click to watch them now, and I will see you there.